We are delighted to be able to welcome you to the launch event of Tech. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening. This is the first time actually we've ever done a launch event for one of our events. But indeed, this is an event very different from any that we've ever attempted to put on at Retail Week as well. It's the most ambitious and the biggest launch event that Retail Week in its 30-year history has ever attempted to achieve. To give you a little bit of context, I guess we felt that the retail industry is in a place now where it needs answers in a different way, and it faces challenges that it's never faced before. We didn't feel that there was an event within the UK space that really tried to address digital in a way that would move the industry on in the kind of pace that is required at the moment, and to face up the kind of challenges that it's currently doing. So what we were hoping to achieve, and what we believe we will achieve come September, is to build an event that brings the whole ecosystem together across the whole of digital, from retailers, pure plays, and those involved in multi-channel, suppliers, technologists, innovators, startup companies, universities, and as well as VCs and entrepreneurs from across the sector to come together as one huge ecosystem to try and solve the problems that this industry faces, and ensures that it can move on and survive in the first instance and then go on to thrive in the new digital era. So we are delighted that tech has touched such a great nerve, and that it has gained such traction already in only the first few weeks since we launched about 8 weeks ago. We've still got huge amounts of work to do, but let me say that you guys here who are here are undoubtedly the pioneers of the pioneers for supporting this event so early and buying into the vision of what we are attempting to achieve. So thank you ever so much for that. I'm delighted that we're going to be joined by such an illustrious panel now. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the themes that you're going to see at the event, and in particular why we believe that this is ultimately such an exciting space for everyone to be involved in at the moment. Retail undoubtedly is challenged, but it is also a wonderful place to be, full of huge opportunities and excitement. We believe as well that tech is really going to put retail back on the map as a fantastic place, an industry to work in, and a real employer of choice as well. So I'm not going to speak for any longer, but I'm going to ask our panel to introduce themselves, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, your involvement with technology within your organisations, and a bit about your roles as well. Paul?
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Wilkinson and I work at Tesco Labs, obviously part of Tesco, where I look after all of our emerging technology and our open innovation programs, a lot of our academic stuff and partnership things.
My name is Mark Wood. I'm the CTO at Graze, the healthy snacking company, responsible for all technology, whether it's web, backend, you name it. Ultimately, it's down to me to make it work.
Hi, I'm Nickel Roythatha. I'm a founder and chief exec at Finery. It's an online women's wear brand launched about 2.5 years ago, and yeah, going strong.
Excellent, thank you. It'd be great to start off with just a little bit of your views personally about of all the technologies that are currently coming down the road and are going to start impacting retail over the next 2 to 3 years. What's exciting you most, Paul?
So there's a few things that are exciting me at the moment, and the theme across a lot of it actually is automation. And I would split that automation into 2 different areas. The first is in the home and the connected home and automating your shopping, basically. Certainly for us as a grocer, it's really interesting that actually there's a lot of things that you buy that you don't really care about. And how can we automate that for you? How can we help you to do that bit of your shopping so that you never run out of those staples, those things that you need? And the other bit is the automation of process, predominantly in store, but also throughout the rest of the supply chain. So, you know, we have a lot of colleagues around the world who do a lot of fairly routine jobs, and actually those jobs can probably be done more efficiently or through helping them really with like artificial intelligence, robotics, and a whole swathe of technologies in that space, so that we can run our store estate more effectively as well. And it's all automation, I think.
And you're one of the few people I've ever met who has a really weird relationship with their dishwasher. You actually refer to it as well, you talk about it as if it's a person.
I'd like to know the other ones that you know, Chris.
No.
Yeah, so I've told the dishwasher story to a couple of you guys, but I'll tell it. So my dishwasher for over a year now has been ordering its own tablets. And that's through it's not a clever dishwasher. I mean, I have to put my hand up and say that I am that guy who would have the Wi-Fi connected dishwasher. But on this occasion, I do not have a Wi-Fi connected dishwasher. What I have is like a smart meter on steroids. And what it can do is it can tell when you've used all of the different electrical appliances in your house. And the dishwasher is quite a good example, and it's the one that we've been working with, because for every time you switch the dishwasher on, it uses one tablet. Yep, it's a really straightforward relationship between using the product and actually consuming it. So what we use in this sort of system, it's a company called Smappy that we use, but there's quite a few people around there now doing this sort of electricity monitoring and this disaggregation of all the different appliances you have in your house. And you think everyone by 2020 in the UK is going to have a smart meter in their house as well, measuring this electricity use, only measuring it every 15 minutes as opposed to what's in my house, which does it, 10 times a second. But the point I'm getting to is once you know every time the dishwasher's switched on, you can reorder those tablets really easily. And my dishwasher has been through that mechanism ordering its own tablets now for well over a year, and it's only about 2 out. So if you think how many tablets get used over that time, actually I can tell you it's I use 5 a week on average, right? And I knew that before because of the club card data and things that we hold. So we know how often people buy these things, but how often you buy something isn't a good enough predictor of when you're going to need it next. Because what if your parents come down for the weekend, for example, or you get visitors, you have a party, you use more, you need to put the dishwasher on more. What if you go away for the weekend, you use less? As soon as you've skewed it by like 2, it's out and it's wrong. And then you're at an opportunity there, I guess, to miss that sort of little help for the customer to actually say, here's more tablets, we know you need them. If you look at what other people in the world are doing around subscriptions, most of it at the moment is fairly dumb. It's just every month send some more stuff. I do the same for nappies. Every month I get a box of nappies, but every month I need about a box and a half. So what we're trying to do is add in that extra bit of intelligence, figure out when something's being used, when it hasn't, and make sure that somebody never runs out of it.
I guess you can do that for shampoos, conditioners, if you notice when someone's hairdryer goes on.
Brilliant. Chris is stealing my lines from earlier now. Yeah, there's a whole host of things.
My stuff, all. This is how I'm great.
There's a whole host of things in the house that are related to how you use the electricity or the water or any of the other things that are actually being instrumented by law. So, the dishwasher is the most obvious example because it's a one-to-one relationship. Something like the toaster, you don't toast all your bread, but you probably toast a consistent amount of bread. And when your parents come, they probably have some toast, so you use some more bread. It's that sort of thing. The shampoo example, every time you use your hairdryer, you've probably used some shampoo. I can't say that we've actually done the data on that one to see if it works or not, and I'm not really one to speak, right? But the potential in all of this sort of data is in finding doing the number crunching, doing the heavy lifting, and helping customers out, making sure they never run out of stuff. That's the key bit for us.
Right. Mark? Yeah, how do you follow that?
I don't think I can, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, no. So obviously we are a subscription business. That's where we started. I think the things that we really see as innovation and the things that are exciting in our business is how do we drive faster innovation to market. So we start as an online business. We're a subscription model. We post snacks to your home. However, we're moving into retail, and I think one of the challenges in retail, if you're a classic FMCG business, is how do you innovate quickly, but how do you also try and make sure that the things that you spent an awful lot of money on and finally you get into store are actually things that people want. We're very lucky. Within about 2 days, we can not only create a new taste kind of sensation, we can create the packaging for that, we can send it to our warehouse, we can have it manufactured, and we can have it going out in people's boxes the next day. So for us, the whole life cycle of innovation has been because we're so vertically integrated, is super quick for us. So I think that for me is a super exciting part of retail at the moment, and about how does everybody take advantage of that, and how does other people copy maybe the models that we're using in order to try and increase that speed of innovation, but also give people what they want.
Excellent.
And it's not as good as Paul, so I don't have any funny stories about washing machines.
Nicola, what about you? What are you seeing as particularly exciting at the moment?
I think to kind of piggyback off Paul, obviously, I think what's most interesting to me is actually how a lot of the tech innovations and a lot of the things that we've been talking about for years are finally becoming mainstream. And I think it's not particularly innovative, but I think it's when it moves from the early adopters to my mum and dad using these, that's when it becomes interesting. So everything in the smart home has kind of changed with guys like Alexa, Nest, Hive. They've made it very, very easy, very consumer friendly. And if you look at that kind of across the chain, so all of the tech buzzwords, I guess we've been talking about. So AI and machine learning, that's now pretty much standard in most people's search algorithms on their site. And if you look at kind of having a mobile first experience that kind of is seamless in store on your phone, and then when you move to your desktop, it's all kind of, this stuff is all very standard. All the kind of all the buzzwords we've really been talking about. And I think when tech starts to, the point of tech is not really for kind of the people in this room. It's for us to innovate and come up with it, but it's only really useful when the general public is using it without thinking. And I think that's what tech is. And you can say that's what Apple's done great for 20 years. And I think you're starting to see it with a lot of the innovations which had kind of hit a bit of a roadblock, and we thought, will they take off? And some failed. You see QR codes. Some didn't work, but a lot of them that we thought really weren't taking off. So when Siri first came out as a voice recognition tool, it was a gimmick. No one really used it. Now it's actually forming a basic part of a lot of people's lives, and it will. We think probably in 5 years, most of our kids growing up will only know how to talk to an Alexa bot and not actually even know how to type, on the keyboards. And so I think that's what's exciting, is just seeing it spread.
And for businesses like yours, how does something like voice? How is that going to create opportunity, but also what are the challenges going to be of kind of reorganizing your business around that sort of technology going forward, do you think?
I guess it's hard to see how that's going to impact too much, a women's fashion brand, unless someone's willing to buy a red dress without seeing an image of it. But I think it's more, it's much more on the kind of, voice is more useful when you're searching. So I think for us personally as a business, we don't use Google as a tool. So search isn't really there, and that's what voice is for. But for someone like Tesco's, I imagine it's absolutely fundamental.
I just want to chip in on fashion, though. For example, I think, okay, you're probably not going to order the dress without seeing it, but imagine if someone gets a dress, they've got it in a package. We've seen this week Amazon have launched their wardrobe service, and imagine you've got this Amazon wardrobe box. You open it up, you say, "Hey Amazon or Alexa, I'm going to open my wardrobe box." And then imagine you sort of talk through your feedback as you're trying the dress on. And imagine how valuable that might be to the company who's just sent that box. Like you're trying a red dress on or whatever it might be, and you say, "Oh, actually it's a bit tight here, or doesn't fit here," or this sort of thing. And bringing all that data in about what you think is good with it and what's wrong with it could just really improve that loop, I think, and make sure that you're sending the right stuff out to the customer in the first place. I think that could be exciting if customers are willing to embrace that whole idea, like, Alexa, start listening to my notes about my dress or whatever it might be.
But I think that's fascinating. The Amazon, is it the Echo Show that they've released in the US, which has that low quality video screen, but actually tells you if you look good in that dress. And I think so. It's not just about voice in itself. It's just about smart robots. Essentially whether you're talking to them or whether they're watching you. I think that kind of intelligence becoming user friendly is really that is transformational for every business.
Mark, do you want to cut in?
I was just going to say that for me, I think it's about everybody's busy. No one has enough time. Everybody needs to multitask. I think the ability to be able to talk to something to help do something with your life whilst you're doing something else at the same time is something I think people are going to adopt. You can imagine being in the kitchen, you're making something, you run out of an ingredient, rather than thinking, I better write that down so that I can sit down later at my laptop and do my Tesco order. I better say Tesco as Paul's next to me. If you could actually just say, hey Google, add whatever it is, tomatoes to my order, you've suddenly made your life easier, and it feels that's a real practical application, for voice within day-to-day life, really.
How big are the challenges for pure plays, for example, in terms of trying to keep up with the pace of change in tech? I mean, we know that the story around how difficult it has been for more traditional retailers to innovate and stay agile. But do you face some of the same challenges within pure play businesses?
Yeah, I guess in a way we're not kind of strictly pure play anymore, because we're moving back. We've almost started online and we're moving into retail. So I think really the exciting bit for us is around the fact that online, you've obviously got the ability, not only can we create snacks quickly, but we can get them online quickly, which means we can get them in front of people quickly, which means that they can give us feedback on whether they like them, whether they don't like them. You know, we have a rating system on the site, etc. So we can gather a lot of data on what our customers like. And for us, I think that's a really powerful tool in then being able to find winners online and then move those into retail and work well with retail partners in order to make sure that the range we're launching has the greatest chance of success. You know, gives these guys the best opportunity to make good sales from our products, and also for us to learn that if we come out with a new innovative product, actually this is performing better online than the one that we've got in store at the moment. Actually, we should swap this out. And actually, we did that with Sainsbury's earlier on this year, where we actually saw one of our products was dipping. We knew we had a better product in the range from the online data, and actually we went to Sainsbury's and said, hey, have you swapped these out? We think this will do better. And actually it did do better. So I think that for me is is a really exciting thing, certainly in the world that I'm existing in at the moment.
Right. Yeah. And Paul, do the obstacles in terms of the bricks and mortar retailers remain as high as they traditionally have been in terms of the adoption of technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think this sort of stuff's always a challenge, isn't it? I think what we're quite good at is opening up the access to these sorts of technologies and bringing them to the masses, and that sort of democratization in the same way as we've done with products over the year as well, things like avocados or whatever tend to be the examples that are given. But in some ways we can go faster, but in some ways we can go slower. So it always just some of the things we're trying to do is build platforms so that we can innovate faster internally, build APIs so that we can let other people innovate on our platforms as well. But at the same time, we've got this sort of 100-year-old company almost that has an awful lot of old systems and old sort of legacy that we've got to fight with on an almost daily basis. So we've got, there's areas where we've got advantages and there's areas where we've got disadvantages.
Nicola, when you're looking across all the things that you could be investing in as a business, how are you making choices around which direction to go in, what technologies to back, and where to be investing?
I mean, I think as for everyone, it starts with the customer. So what is the customer going to notice, or what is going to make the customer's life or experience better without them noticing? And so I think for us, one of the things we're actually looking at trying to do more and more is actually look at the supply chain. So actually, your previous question talks about we don't have technical debt. Is it a lot easier to be more nimble and more kind of innovative and to add new features to our kind of tech stack? Yes, absolutely. But quite often, if we're working in an old school way, manufacturing products with a 6-month life cycle, or lead time from kind of placing the order to when you kind of get it in stores, if your tech moves faster than your product, it doesn't work. So actually, for us, it's more and more, we're looking at how can we look at that, improving that end-to-end journey. So actually, through the supply chain, can we predict demand much more in advance? Can we, have a much more nimble and flexible supply chain and manufacturing process, so that basically whatever innovations we put to, whether that's to promote products, to get reception and kind of feedback from customers on what they like, how they're going to buy it, where they're going to buy it, that we can actually then accommodate that demand, because that's one of the bigger frustrations in a business with a long lead time. So for us, the investment, kind of the investment decision is never looked at on just a kind of instant ROI. It's looking at the entire business and how that will really impact it.
Right. One of the things that we've absolutely been trying to do with the vision of tech this year is to create an ecosystem of everyone who's going to be involved in moving the industry on. And I mean, we're very privileged to have a fantastic advisory board, of which you guys are very great. We're very grateful to have you on board on that. But there are many others in this room from the advisory board, and we had one a couple of months ago, and it was Julian, actually, from House of Fraser, who I think made a really great point, and it really rang true with me, is that increasingly retailers facing such a complex world are going to have to make decisions around what they're going to be famous for and great at internally, and then look to partner with the right people going forward. And this event is absolutely about trying to build those partnerships. But it's fascinating to me, therefore, what do you look for in your suppliers and your partners? What makes a great partner in helping you on that journey?
I think certainly from us, it's the ability to work together. You know, I think we've always really embraced innovation. We like working with partners that are interested in innovation. We're really interested in working with people that are pragmatic. You know, we do pride ourselves, I think, on being pragmatic, thinking about what is our minimum viable product. How do we get just the bare minimum out? How do we learn from that? And I think working with people that are flexible and an ability to flex with us, especially from a tech perspective. I'm speaking from a tech perspective. You know, I think that's invaluable because you end up creating the right products. You have much better relationships. You know, we like Agile as our development methodology. You know, working with partners that are happy to work in that way is a great thing for us. And I think that's what I personally look, for in partners, along with a good price, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Paul?
Partnerships, I guess, from a lab's point of view, what we're really interested in is building things together, like collaborating, true collaboration with people, not just picking something up off the shelf and sort of trying that, but actually how do you help a large company or a small company, we work with all ends of the spectrum, build that next product. And that's where we get the most interesting stuff and the most interesting projects, I guess, or products where we're sort of co-creating with somebody who has expertise that's outside of our own expertise. And we're bringing some retail expertise and some tech expertise and some customer stuff to the table. And we're working with somebody to help create the future. I mean, it's quite a lab's answer, I think, but we want, true partnerships where people have got, an open door. They will tell us, what it is they're working on, why they think it's important. And if we agree, then we'll work on it together and we can be better together. And that's our most, that's what we look for most in partnerships in labs in particular.
Nicol, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think really, when we looked for partnerships, it's really for people with a similar mindset and typically similar stage to us. So, for us, working with a partner that's 100 times bigger than us typically doesn't work. They may be great and have a lot of experience and resource, but you want them to be as nimble as you are, to have a kind of conversation, a kind of feedback that goes two ways, where you can both help each other grow and share in that growth. And I think that's kind of the underlying factor which we use for kind of choosing partners across, whether that's tech, whether that's marketing collaborations, or whether that's factories.
Look, I don't want to keep you all from your drinks any longer. Thank you all very much for coming this evening. Thank you very much to our panel as well for being so candid and forthright as well. I hope we all see you in a few months' time in September, and you all bring many of your friends and colleagues with you as well to make this truly a fantastic festival of innovation. Thank you and have good evenings.